Okay, we're going to get started. Hello, welcome. My name is Juan Miro. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Programs here at the school. Thank you for coming. I'm very happy to introduce today's speaker. Is our McDermott visiting professor, visiting us from Barcelona. I hope that all her students are here. Right, Monica? I hope all my students are here too. I'll be asking questions about the lecture on Friday. I'm going to let you know a little bit about Monica. Some of you that went to the lottery heard something from Cisco, so you're going to hear some of the same information. But for the rest of the class of the group, I think it would be good to know. Monica was born in Puerto Rico, and she earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts in 1993 and a Bachelor of Architecture in 1994 from Rhode Island School of Design, as well as a Master of Architecture with distinction from Harvard University Graduate School of Design in 1999. From 1994 to 1997, she worked at the Architecture Research Office in New York. They have lectured here in the school, and they have taken some of our students in residency there at that office. They do a very good job, very good work. And she moved to Barcelona in 1999, and before starting her own practice with her partner Emiliano López, she worked at a very good publishing house, a very good publisher of architectural books, the Editorial Gustavo Gili in Barcelona as well. She has served as a visiting professor of architecture at Washington University in St. Louis, at the Elisava School of Design and Engineering in Barcelona from 2001 to 2008, and at the ESARQ, another school of architecture in Barcelona as well. She has participated in many universities as a guest critic, and she has been also a juror in different award programs. The work of López Rivera Architects has received several architectural awards. Like, it's very modest. Normally people put numerous awards. You only put modestly several. You need to put many awards. Architecture awards, including some of them very prestigious. I'm going to go over some of them. The Young Architecture Award of the 10th Spanish Biennial of Architecture and Urbanism. The first place also in the 7th Iberian American Biennial of Architecture and Urbanism. The prize the first prize, the Austin Architectural Review Emerging Architecture Award from London, a very prestigious award, international, and the design distinction from the ID Magazine Annual Design Review. Also Spanish awards from the FAD Architecture Award and a nomination. This is a very important European award, a nomination for the 2009 Mies van der Rohe European Award. The first project have been published in national and international publications such as Croquis, EU, Domus, ID, Interior Design, and the Architectural Review in London. The work also has been exhibited in many different venues, including in Paris and in the Venice Biennale. All the work has been recently published in a monograph. That is a fantastic book. I really recommend to look at it. I have it in my office. And we're going to donate.
Have access to your office?
Yes, my office is always open and it's on the table, so you can go there and look at it. Hopefully we'll stay there after, because it's a nice book. What I like about the book, and I discussed it with Monica, producing a book like this, it really feels like it's like another building, another project. You can see almost the exact same sensibility of the work in the book itself, in terms of the care, the attention, the detail, and the design sensibility, and it's a huge effort to put these books together. I think it's a fantastic representation of the work that we're going to see today in the lecture, hopefully, right, I would imagine.
Yes.
So please join me in welcoming Mónica Rivera today to the school.
Well, thank you, Juan, for the introduction, and actually brought another book for the library, so I'll put it up there, so they don't have to go into your office. Thanks for coming, and thanks for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here. I will speak tonight about several projects, 6 or 7 projects that are all sort of residential, domestic houses and 2 hotels. All of them very different tectonically, because each one is responding very specifically to the context, but also to the client and to the contractor and all the circumstances surrounding the project. I'll try to go very fast because I have many images, so hopefully I don't, let's see. The first one is a hotel in Intudela, a 4-star hotel here in Intudela in the northeast of Spain. It's located right where the red dot is, next to the town of Tudela. It's a green dot. And it's very close to this natural park, with a very arid landscape. It's called the Bardenas. And as you can see, it's also very close to the riverbank of the Ebro River. This is a little bit the landscape of the natural park. And this is the surrounding irrigation fields and the landscape surrounding the site, which is right here in this agricultural land. And this is the site. As you can see, this is the first photos from the first visit. And down here you have the Bardenas, and far away. It's only 3 kilometers away, but you can see it. And it's a wheat field. And we're right in the edge. This is a migration, sheep migration path. And it's right between, it's dividing the dry crops from the irrigation field. So we're right on that spot. And of course, this land, this site looked wonderful, but in fact is sort of a very hostile environment, because there is a very strong wind coming from the north, which is called El Cierzo. It's terrific. I'm sorry, terrorific. Very different. And also, being agricultural land, it's constantly dusty, and in the afternoon there are many insects. The temperatures are very extreme. So it's really a question on how to build something in this, a refuge in this very hostile place. And then another condition is that the client decided to become the contractor. He, very enthusiastic, he had some experience building milking facilities, very high-tech milking facilities, so he had done things for cows, but not for humans. So this was, he had done things with this material, which is an insulation sandwich panel with aluminum and insulation in the middle. And he suggested that, well, he has a very good metal worker, and if we could use him as much as possible for this project, and if we could use this material, which is great, it's very cheap, because the budget was extremely low, so we had to really work with an economy of means. So, well, we said we'll think about it, and also he asked for the trades, for certain trades that he had very good ones. He said if we could use those trades, that'd be great. So finally, we had to build here in this hostile place a 4-star hotel with a contractor with little, well, no experience, and the clients didn't have any hospitality experience as well. We didn't either. So it was really a challenge, and we decided that what we had to design was not so much a building, but a strategy to make this happen. So thinking of this extreme weather, we looked at buildings in the surrounding area, constructions protecting from the elements, and also thinking of in this place you sort of want to be protected and feel protected and look out to the landscape, but the heavy construction did not seem appropriate for such an open land. So we were also interested in the opposite as well, which is a very light construction, almost slightly touching the ground, for these sporadic, how do you say, stayovers in this place. So we began to then think about how the windows and all the openings could protrude out to create a false perception of depth, almost as if, we began thinking of that sandwich panel as a real possibility of making a very thin enclosure. And in a way, it's just, sort of as if the facade is almost the lining of the construction, in a way thinking that the masonry might be missing from the sides. So we began studying different ways that could be done, but finally we just settled for the simple solution, very economical, of the square projecting window, sometimes a bench, sometimes with a bed. And we established this relationship very early on with the bed, the window, and the tree or the landscape. This was an early image of the project. Kept it all in one story to make it simpler to construct. And for the massing, a reference was Donald Judd's concrete boxes in Marfa as a way of just working with a very orthogonal and simple structure by turning it, creating play of light and shadow, and minimizing the massiveness of the building. Early models of the place, essentially with a series of patios in the center protected from the wind, and other patios protected with some other light element that we didn't know then, and some of the rooms with an outdoor access. And this is the final plan. You can see a series of patios, the parking, the entry patio with the cherry trees. We sort of use the agricultural language for the landscape. The internal paved patio surrounding the restaurant, the bar, and the main hall, and the field with poplar trees to give verticality to the group, and other spaces for services and conference rooms, etc., and the pool. So this series of patios was establishing a sequence from the entry with that first cherry tree patio, the lobby, which is the only space that has a height and a half, the enclosed paved patio with these mulberry trees for shade, poplars, and finally the unit with the bed and the projecting window looking out. These are study models of the interior, because we were also working with interior design, and we began making these very large models. I don't know the scale, in 1 to 10. I don't know what that is. To study the facade, the detailing. This was also a way of showing the constructor and the metal worker the intention. So we were working simultaneously with the structure and the shading and the inner linings and baseboards and so on. And early detailings of the window, and finally this final. So it's a very simple light construction. It's almost a shed construction with an inner lining of gypsum board and plywood, with the window placed so that you cannot see the frame from the inside, and with the shading devices here. That's as you can see, the palette of materials is very sort of raw and simple, keeping the shower here with a bench that we also designed, and these are the windows, this mid-space. It was important that these rooms would be sort of very enclosed to avoid having all the dust coming into the room, etc. All the structure was prefabricated and stored and brought into site when permits were given. And this is a little bit the construction, with the glass placed in first and then the skin. And this is a plan of a typical room. This one, some of the rooms have an enclosed patio with a fruit tree and an outdoor top. But they all have this very first entry space where you can just leave your belongings open so that their presence is not in the sleeping area. That's that shower that you saw before. And this window has, there's some exceptions, some are U-shaped, some are benches, etc. And this is this place where you come in and you just leave all your things and you see through, but then you come into the space and that's completely, there's no objects, but you can reach them from the bed. And some of them, so you know, in the end they were, all the windows are variations on the same theme, same window but different outlooks or different patios or different materials. And these outdoor bathtubs we also sort of developed with the metal worker who was doing large-scale piping, I don't know how you call that, and he had these wonderful catalogs of metal pieces that we put together. Oh, here's it, trying his testing. And also some of the sinks. So since we had very direct contact with the metal worker, we could then be very fast at doing prototypes. This is again variations. These are the suites. This is another type of suite which is looking out into the field. It's this is the same one. At night. And then the same detail was also used in the dining room in the restaurant. The floors sort of remind of the grounds of the natural park. And these are some photos of the inside, the lobby and the bar. Again, the lobby area. We also worked on these chairs. And the facade of the building, since we were working with this very simple material, really is conformed by these boxes, wooden boxes that are used to collect the fruit and the vegetables. This is an area, a big producer of like the best vegetables in Spain, I would say. And these were used as windbreakers for the space. These are normally typically used around the site, and when they lose stability, you can purchase a big lot and recycle them. And they were used to enclose some of the outdoors, the parking area, the sequence of different patios. That's the main entry here with the cherry trees. And also enclosing the pool area. And this is the sort of the industrial character that it has. And these boulders were found by the client on a nearby site of a road. So he said, I have all these boulders, they're almost free, what can we do with them? So we thought, well, maybe, you know, if we put them around here, it becomes a vertical fence almost, because it's very difficult to walk fast, so it'll make the approach to the private, you know, to the rooms. It will delay that and also keep the sheep out. So that was that we placed that surrounding and also dividing their plot from the wheat field. And that's the first project. And the second project is very different. As you can see, it's a very thick construction. It is in the north, in the coast of Spain. This is El Port de la Selva, a coastal town. The house is located up here. It's on the top of this hill. And the client is a young couple that asked for a very simple house to enjoy right away. And was curious. He said, "We want a house that looks like was not designed by an architect." This was the premise of it, meaning that they didn't want they wanted everything very simple and as traditional as possible, and just very. So the challenge in this project was really the site. It was a very difficult site because we have again another very strong wind coming from the north. I guess it's the same one. Here it's called the Tramuntana. It's also a terrific wind. It's a crazy wind, and the site was, as I said, very, very, very sloped. And the thing is that the views of the port are on the same direction as this wind, and the sun is coming from behind, from the upper part of the site. And there was also this existing road cutting through that we had to keep. So it's a site right here. So really the difficulty was to negotiate all these different directions of the wind, the sun coming from behind, the view, and also the terrain. So the strategy was simply working in section. Also another conditioning, we couldn't go above the highest point of the site. So we have to keep everything below. So the strategy then was to carve out on the back, on the south side, a patio that would serve as the entry to the house, then place a simple volume going through and have a terrace that would look out to the views, and when the wind, the tramontana would hit, then you would close that and use the back patio, which is protected from the wind and also from the sun with mulberry trees. So this is that's the existing road. Here you would leave a car, and there's a room down here. You would go up, and the entry would be made through this patio. That's a plan. So here you see the living spaces in this simple volume with a kitchen connecting both spaces. On either end, there are the bedrooms that are rotated to adapt to the terrain, to keep it perpendicular, but also this space in between, we used it to create very small patios that would serve to, when you come from the beach, you would go in there, have an outdoor shower, take your bathing suit out, towels and everything, all of that, placing it there. Then you would come to the bathroom, and then finally out to the room. The same with the parents' room. You would come into the bathroom and then out to the room. So these are they all have also a tree. And these are views for the house. So the construction is double masonry wall, very thick, 36 centimeters. It makes a very fresh environment inside, very cool. And using traditional louvers lifted up from the ground and having these views through from patio to terrace. And also using traditional vaults. These we also did because they had a specific, they wanted to use a contractor from the town, which was very good at building traditional construction, so we also adapted to that circumstance. And we used just the traditional concrete vaults and beams with a ventilated roof. These are views through. That's a kitchen connecting through. And this is the entry patio and through this volume. And this shading, there are some tense cables that are used to put different cane for shade. That's changed seasonally until the trees grow enough. So these are the cables. And this is another denser shade, and the trees have grown a little bit. That's the entry. And these are the little patios that in between the rotated volumes. It's the entry door and this is the parents' patio and a way out to the pool. And they have a stair going up to the solarium, which is fantastic views at the top. And the pool is placed on this side to be protected from the tramontana at all times, except that it comes out a little bit so you get a view of the whole bay. On the lower level, there are 2 rooms that are accessed from the outside, also to save on space and square footage. And 2 stairs connect these rooms to the terrace above. So these are just different views looking from either side, and this is where they have their breakfast normally. And the next project, again, we're with thin construction, but this time is wood. It's a cross-laminated structure. Very different site. It's a suburban site north of Barcelona. This was the site looking south. And the context was not very interesting. So this is a young couple. She's a yoga professor, and they. So we began working again with the idea of a patio and a house that can look onto itself. And the clients, since we didn't have real clear reference for the material, they wanted something with dark colors, with wood, something very light, something. They wanted something sustainable, so geothermal energy and so on. So we then researched the cross-laminated. We had an experience with glue laminated slabs many years before, so now we wanted to experiment with the cross-laminated systems. And this is an early sketch thinking about that central patio and how the house might look onto itself. From this pavilion at the end of the sequence, which is a place to. He's a film advertising. He's in the advertising business, so he wanted a place to project movies and listen to music. Initially, they wanted that in the basement, but we said, with the garden, why don't you make it happen surrounded by the garden? So. Also, the geometry of this house and the plan was really guided by these two spots. They were made in such a way, and these trees were placed in such a way that in the summer, this is completely shaded at the time of lunch hour during 4 hours. Spanish lunches are very long. And same here, this has direct sun for the spring and autumn during the lunch hours from the beginning to the end. So the placement of this, the geometry is responding to some of these things. Also, the west wall is completely blank. It's also used to project movies or project the leaves of the trees. And this is a model, and this is a rendering studying the projection and the placement of the trees. And these are early sketches. We paid a lot of attention in the circuits of moving, how to move through, essentially creating a back circuit. We wanted to avoid having hallways as much as possible, so all the rooms are pass-through rooms, except for the pavilion, which is the only dead end. Maybe the final. That's a final configuration with an entry leading you to. With 4 different options, this to drop off all your things, the helmets from the motorcycle and keys and all that, the big closet and the stairs and the mudroom, pantry, kitchen, or you could go in through this compressed space into the dining, living. Oh, that's maybe better. Yeah, so all the let's say the good rooms are surrounding the patio. This outdoor room, except for the bedroom. So in a way, you can always choose how to move through with these 2 layers, or maybe 3 layers. No? The yoga studio is below here in these sunken patios. The access is from down below, from here. So these are sunken plazas that are more open to the neighborhood, while this is very private. And here's that sunken plaza with a skylight and ventilation, natural ventilation from the south, and another one from the north, yoga room. And above, always taking care of having cross ventilations constantly. That's a yoga house. Her yoga studio. And she also has a secret access through the ladies' changing room up to the stairs connecting the room. And upstairs there are 2 elongated bedrooms for the kids and a small terrace. And the house, the more private entry to the house. It's very closed off to the north and to the street, very private. With the entry, little window to keep the air going through here. And this is that hallway that gives you all the options for moving through from here. And a curtain takes you to the dressing area and closet. Place to charge your phone, and you don't have to go around to pick it up when you forget that it's on the other side. So you just drop it up here. But these are also ventilation vents going through where you stand and passing through that section, through this patio. And you actually feel the speed of the breathe here. Then the other route is through this stair, which is going all the way up, all the levels of the house, and then through this compressed entry to the living spaces. The kitchen that we also took care of placing it so it would receive sunlight in the winter at breakfast time. And some images. It's a very light steel construction combined with wood walls and wood slabs and ceilings. So all the overhangs are calculated to maintain the sun out and reduce glare. This is the study. These are these little vents here and also here, and some special doors. And that's keeping that ventilation through the house constantly. And through the stair is also, the night cooling is happening through the shaft of the stair above. That's the patio, and this area here is the shower and tub, which is this room that finally we placed, just taking advantage of the patio and the garden next to the studio. And it's a place that the kids like. These are the client sends us these snapshots every now and then. I don't know what that's. And that's the pavilion where we use this shading it's a very traditional shading used in Barcelona. This is a view of this is the building we have in front of our studio. It's a very beautiful facade. So we were thinking we had this in mind when doing this project. Also, this is very near our office, beautiful gallerias with these shading devices. And also looking at the paintings from Ramon Casas, where these were the traditional way of doing these intermediate spaces. So we just detail these uprights, not touching the ground, and then these are manually put up and down. Oops, sorry. And we also did these modules, so they have been also very successful with the kids. Just very quickly, the construction, the very thin metal structure with the CLT panels being placed, plans of that, and the detailing of the maintaining their small reveal, so the wood panels are sort of floating above the structure, and a little bit the stair, which is like a room in itself, the plans for its construction, and the inner spiral is what's it's the structure of the stair. Very fast. Some of the construction, and yes, that's a structural element. Looking back at the entry. And the next project is in the coast as well, and it's a holiday home. This one here. Again, another slope site. This time it's facing south, and it's looking at the port on the side here. So the house is here. It is finished. There are two volumes. One is facing the port, and the other containing all the rooms, and the other one is sort of blocked by these houses. that's the diagonal view it has, but from above. Oops. Oops. Sorry. Okay. Okay, here, sorry. 2 volumes that are connecting through the back. This is the upper floor, and we made this intermediate space with ceramic louver, designed and built in to keep all the rooms looking at the views, but being protected from the sun. So these all glass enclosures. This is the ground level, keeping the rooms away with overhangs and porches to protect it from the sun as well, and to maximize the flat area, which is not very much. As you can see, the site has 2 streets connecting on either end, but the entry is from below. So it's this space here. These are early studies of the patterns of the tile. Also studies of the tile in the summer and winter. And this is the final tile. These volumes. That's the. These were custom made by a ceramic manufacturer, 3rd generation, Tony Cumella. We worked with him. He said, "Oh, I can do anything." He's done like very complex ceramic, amazing things. And we just said, "What is your basic piece?" And this is just the basic extrusion that he makes. So we decided to work with that, and they come like this. They're 2 together, and they're broken and separated. So we worked on with the enamel. So it's a glossy enamel, and we worked with some how do you call those, stencil? I don't know if that's the right word. We were keeping some areas with the texture for grip. So this is the glazing and the final pieces, and this is sort of the inventory of the pieces that we needed to make the lattice, the plans, and the reinforcement, etc. That's some fixtures of the construction, the reinforcement bars. Manuel had actually done the floor of the previous house, and before going into this, we asked them, "Do you dare doing this?" And he made a mock-up, and he says, "Yes, I can do it." So then we decided to do that for this house. Otherwise, it would have been tricky. So he played an important role in the decision of this detailing. This lattice rests on these prefabricated concrete beams that rests on an in situ sandblasted structure. These are the prefab beams, and this is the space in between. These are the prefab cast, and they are in fact concealing security gates that are here in this raised platform in the bedroom. They slide like that when the clients are not our way, and also these gates that are enclosing the openings, they slide and they sort of match the pattern of the screen. Lattice, thank you. And here you see the gate. So, well, the living room opens up completely, and these are some of the spaces as they are now. There is a lower level with a garage and a turning plaza. The gardens, and these are great windows. I'm not sure what that is, but the upper level. We see the bedrooms, shower enclosure and the tub. And these are different views of this space from different heights according to the use. And some photos of the in-between space. These also open up completely. So the light changes all the time, and this is with a full moon. This is sort of a fancy version of another galleria that we made for a social housing project in Barcelona, where we were working with this traditional galleria space and this open access to the flats, where it's sort of a social space. These are the little sunrooms in the units and the open walkway with these setbacks. These two filters in the front and in the back. This is the final plan. And this is this space in between where we use these louvers essentially so they could be maintained and cleaned by the tenants. What's that? These are typically used in the back, in the kitchens, and so on. We decided to put them in the front as the main facade and have that little space. And in the back, the walkways. It's a space for appropriation, and you can see through inside. That's a very deep window also to pass things from the kitchen out. These are photos of the residents now. This project is a renovation. It's completely different. It's a renovation of an old building, completely different context. It's this little building here. This is in Santiago de Compostela, in the main plaza, where the city hall and the cathedral are. This is a place of pilgrimage in Spain, very important. And it's this house over here. It was in total state of decay with structural problems because of this 70s addition. We basically renovated the whole building, recuperating the windows as they were and fixing the facade. This is how it was. It was in total ruin. And this is Santiago has these wonderful typical gallerias outside of the main granite facade. And the back one was completely rotten. But luckily we had these two very big camellia trees, which are quite wonderful. And so the house became, this is a hotel apartment, forgot to say. So in the old house there are 5 apartments with little kitchen and living area. And on the ground floor there is a sort of a common area with a bar. And in the garden there is a newly built pavilion also of cross-laminated timber and a stone fountain pool that the pilgrims can, after walking many days or weeks, they can use that to sit down and rest their feet. And also trying to make these small patios with the existing stone walls. So these are models of the spaces looking through the dining room of the pavilion, through the old building, and from the old building and this bar space to the pavilion. That's an early image of the pavilion reflecting all. It had to be white by code and with the same use as the building. They also had the ground floor of the adjacent building, and the patios was all of that. The basement level has this is heated with biomass, and this is the silo for the pellets, and they're fed through these openings in the front. And these are the upper levels with the rooms. Towards the street, little kitchenette, and in the back, living space, bedroom, and bathroom. And on the upper level, that room has the thin galleria towards the plaza and a mezzanine level. This is a little bit, I won't go into this, but the renovation. We maintained the floors and patched the parts that were not good, and did all the fireproofing and soundproofing from below, and added some structure to the beams, which made these spaces separating. The stair was also cataloged, so we fixed it up and painted it, and these are views of the gallery. And this is sort of really nice, very narrow, very wonderful space, looking at the cathedral. This is the back galleria, was torn down and rebuilt. And this is how it is now. Views through the shower out. And this is a sort of a plan of the land of the outdoor spaces. This back room, we paved it with the same granite as outside. So from here, the guest of that room would come out from this ramp and enter through the side to a main space, that dining area, and the bathroom, which makes use of this patio, and also has this back patio for private use. A little bit of the construction. This is a shower plate that the contractor said, "Oh, I will do it in one piece." It's amazing, he did it. It's granite. A very good contractor and very good stone worker, amazing. They worked very precisely, very nicely. That's the entry to the pavilion. The pavilion, that's the shower plate. And this bathtub they also made. And the views out. This window is sort of also a double hung window, but has a frame with the glass glued on the outside. It allows permanent ventilation for code, so it's sort of in dialogue with the traditional window. You can see here the glued glass and the view through. The detail of the sill at the bar is we used one piece to have a continuous sort of surface with a slight step for water and a slope, and the wood never touches the stone. It's lifted to allow ventilation. So it's the traditional one but with a little tweak in the detailing here. That's that. And that's a view from the entry all the way to that room. A little bit of the construction, the panels going on site, and the contractor also made the panels. These are made by a Basque company, but he sent them Galician wood. So this is the first Galician CLT. So he was very proud of this. I don't know, it's just an anecdote, but he was very, very proud. Construction. And the final. And finally, this house is also in the coast. Another slope side. This was the most difficult one because it doesn't have views. The orientation is not the best. It's not a very good site. And these are two homes, two holiday homes for a family. And the views, in fact, the good views to the sea are sideways. This is in a town that was an old, here you see a cork tree. This was an old cork producing region. And, oops, that hand, I'll keep up. And since we had these experiences with the CLT and this Basque company, we decided to work also with CLT and make a very compact house and insulated with these cork panels that are produced in Portugal. Very good insulation also for fire. And we decided to try to maintain as many trees as possible to maintain the character of the place and made this concrete structure completely detached from the cork. That is the only place in the house where you get the views to the sea. Well, also these rooms, right? But it's the only, so it's like a dining room. This is the space. The space in between the houses is the access, and also goes all the way up to a pool at the very top of the site. The bottom floor here with 3 bedrooms, guest bedrooms here, and this level is the one that's connecting the 2 houses, with a living room with a little more height than the rest of the rooms, kitchen, dining and room. And that's the living room height. It's this here, so you could look diagonally up and looking back at the terrace from the living room. So always trying to maintain a relationship with all the sides of the house, or the houses. And this is a similar detail to the hotel window, except that we used windows that open, because here you do want the ventilation to go through. And with the wood, it was quite easy to do that. The other house is more simple and has a small living area with a kitchen. Oh, sorry, no, this is the top floor, which is a studio, and the top of the terrace, which is that. And that's the small house here, looking from the kitchen out. Always trying to maintain these spaces as much as possible, and this has a split levels, with this room taking on more height, which is this one, looking at the other house. And it's just the cork, inventory and pieces. The corners are solid, taking from a solid block and using all the other pieces. And very quickly, this is also, in this case, we asked them to put the first layer of cork mechanically attached in the factory. They won't do this again because the factory was all black, dust everywhere. So this is, but it was very, very good because this first layer was very economical to put it up in the factory, in the panel factory. And the second layer was applied on site with a lime breathable mortar. This is sandblasted terrace, and the detail in this case, some of these windows are a bed, and this one is a desk, and the roof is ventilated with a mesh and just simply painted with I don't know what you call the paints, but waterproofing paint. It's very simple. We can, and the cork is actually surrounding the whole house. All the windows open outwards, and that's that one here. I think I showed that already. And views from some general views of the kitchen and the place to pass the dishes. That hand again. Oops. Sorry. The house has no hallways either. It's all connected, and this is the corner room, which gets all the views. And And that's it. So 1 hour. Yep. Thank you.